Hello, everybody. I'm Paul Ryden. We hear it all the time. It's just a game. It's usually uttered by someone who can't win the game or a well meaning parent trying to teach the virtue of good sportsmanship. And then there's Julie Lomax, our guest today, who has written a thrilling novel called APawnsGame that turns the phrase, it's just a game, completely on its head. Welcome, Julie, from Clarksville, Tennessee. How are you today?
Yes, sir. Hey, how are you? I'm glad to be here.
Doing fantastic. Now, you introduce us to a character named David who's moved to the big city for a fresh start with his wandering wife and his distraught daughter, but it doesn't get much better for him, especially when he starts playing chess with a stranger. Hmm.
hmm hmm
Tough,
hmm
tough sledding for David. What's going on here? Tell if you were to write a small blurb about the book, or you had to do an elevator pitch, what would you say the book is about?
it's a father and a husband, and he has fallen into domestic unease,
To say
and
the least.
his wife is something else.
Yeah.
And for a distraction of sorts, he has witnessed two men playing chess, and he's always wanted to learn how to play, and and so he ends up kind of falling into a game that he really doesn't know a whole lot about. And that's I would just say that this man is falling into a game he doesn't really know a whole lot about. You would wish that he would know more before he steps into something.
Or that he turns around after he kind of figures it out and gets out of there while he still
That
can.
that would have been good for David, but he didn't.
One thing about David that I've learned is that he is so incredibly patient, or is he just naive? I mean, his family's a mess. His wife has had numerous affairs and
hmm
keeps thinking he can fix it. I'll take care of this. We'll move. Did you
hmm
that character on anybody you know, or
I meet a lot of people exactly like David, though.
really?
There are people who will just stay in that situation. And they don't want to, they think it's going to get better. They hope it's going to get better. They pray it's going to get better. Nothing gets better.
Oh
And yet they
man.
stay. And you're like, okay, so you're happy with that?
Well, uh, when you're writing a story that involves an intricate game like chess, you got to know something about the game, right?
Yes, when you're playing chess, you do need to know about control and manipulation. You do need to know about the game because you can make some wrong moves, and David does. He makes some wrong moves. The game itself is unique in that he's explained to him in the beginning it's not a normal chess game, and
Mm.
he's not quite listening to the undertone of the warning this man is giving him. The
Yeah.
guy wants to, the guy wants to play him, but he's also being honest enough to say it's not the typical chess game. This game, gives you consequences for every move you make.
Mhm. I don't think I'm
And
giving too much away when I say it's a matter of life and death.
it will be a matter of life and death through
Yeah, it
most of the
can be.
game.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But now, as an author, you've got to know something about the game too. I mean, you can't
I
just.
So I'm going to tell you how I woke up one morning, I jumped out of bed, my ADHD was boom, right on task, and I knew the entire story. And I ran down, told my husband, I'm going to go into my office. Please don't bother me and let me just write the story out. I got to get it off my brain right now. And I started writing. I really did that for almost 3 weeks writing the story.
Hmm.
Where I got hooked up was, okay, now how am I going to really weave this chess piece in? Because it had been a while since I'd played chess. And so I backed off a couple of days and I found the Duolingo game on. And so you can do chess on Duolingo. And I
So not
started
just
going,
not just languages, huh?
oh, no, not just
I
languages.
didn't
That
know that.
thing really surprised me. I was surprised myself that I was able to find it and that I've actually been winning on Duolingo, which makes me feel like, oh, okay, I mean, I'm accomplished.
Hmm.
But then that kind of solidified the way the consequences would work because there's lots of ways to win, but there's also lots of ways to lose.
Mhm.
And there's just kind of a fine line between being the player and the pawn in the game. So you may think that you've plotted out how you're going to win on chess, but your other player has also done the same, and he may be one more step ahead of you. So you've moved a certain direction, thinking you're about to trap them,
Hmm.
the king or the queen, and he's already got you trapped and you didn't see it.
Well, now you jumped out of bed with this story idea and you go to write it. What inspired that? Was it a dream or something? Because this is a great what if story. The fact that, and again, I don't think we're giving too much away because it's in the
Mm,
blurb to the book that there are names underneath the
yeah.
chess pieces, and those people, you know, die based on how you perform in the game. So,
So I think where I came up with the whole piece of, to me, it was more of a consequence kind of game.
uh-huh.
The Pawns game, the name actually came from the chessboard itself. But when I first started writing the story, I thought it was going to be something more of, it's going to be a consequence book. And I really got motivated by looking at consequences because if you turn on a television or Instagram or the news or TikTok, for God's sake, there's always somebody doing something without consequences and they get it away and they just do it again and again. And so that was on my mind about consequences. And I think going to bed that night, I thought there's got to be a way to leverage consequences, if and mine became a game, but I believe that when people make decisions, whether they're in the dark or in the light, when they're making a decision, there should be some weight to it. So if it's positive or negative, you take both that comes your way.
Mhm. Hmm. Well, now, so I'm going to say you've, yeah, on your website. I was going on your website and saw that you're very impressed by how readers are influenced by what they read. What do you hope your readers get out of this book? Is it just a fun story, or is it a
No, no.
cautionary tale about consequences? Or
I will say this, and I didn't expect it at first until I read like the second review. So I have people who write me individually, and I'll read those reviews. I write some of them down because I'm like, I'm going to expand on that or not. But the predominant theme from that is that when they've turned that last page, the story lingers with them.
hmm,
And I think the part that they mean to expand on is the consequences of how David realized, oh, if I do this, I'm going to lose this person because
right.
that name is under, that becomes real important. And so you're thinking, oh, in most games, everybody's trying to save the king or the queen, except for him. In one part of the story is Emily's not, her name is under a knight. And he realizes later, he's, indiscriminately when he sits down and the guy says, hey, the way this game works is you got to put the name under the, the, the piece and then you lock it down on the piece and then you put your finger on it and it moves in the direction that you want it to go. And he's like kind of poo-pooing the idea, going, this sounds kind of strange. It's
Yeah.
like a, Jumanji kind of thing. What the hell's
Yeah.
going on? And he goes, no, do it, do it. And so, new to the place, he's thinking of everybody he can think of, and he's putting these names and he's just randomly putting in them pretty fast. He gets them all locked in front of him, and the guy goes, you ready?
Oh man.
And then he realizes, what? And then something happens to the very first character,
Right.
and it just happens to be somebody who had done something wrong with him or to him. And the consequence comes out in that game. And some of it's really funny is Emily is the first to pick up on it. David doesn't even pick up on it. That some consequences are good and some consequences are bad. David doesn't get to choose. The board does.
Mhm.
And so when something happens and David is expecting it, oh, this is going to be bad for this person because I know whose name was underneath that thing, there wasn't a bad consequence. And he's blown away by that.
I have an idea who that first victim might be, but I don't want to ruin anything here. So, You're more than just a mystery writer. You're a short story writer, and people can see some of those stories on your website. Interesting website, juju.agency, Juju
Yes.
dot agency, not dot com,
Mhm.
dot agency. How different
Yeah.
is the discipline in writing short stories versus writing novels?
Oh, the discipline. Ugh. Okay, so I am going to say on the web page itself, I do have some children's stories
Right.
versus adult stories or
Mm,
YA stories.
right.
And some of my this is a cleaned up story. So yeah, people die, but not in a gruesome way. I do have gruesome stories. I do like psychological thrillers, and after I've written a few, because I believe in balance, I sometimes have to go write a children's story so that, you know,
Cleanse
good and evil, good
cleanse
and
your
evil is
palate.
good. Yeah, because otherwise I'll just think along those lines, and that's not where I want to go. The agency part came along with there are writers and readers in Clarksville where I live,
Mhm.
and I do support a lot of those new writers getting started, and I share with them so they can reach out with me on messaging, and then I'll help review their stuff. I won't do their stuff. I won't do ghostwriting for them. I'll get them in touch with people if they want that. But really, I am showing them how they can get it done. Because there's nothing more fun than having something that you've done and it's out there and you go, and you did that all by yourself.
Yeah, yeah,
Don't you feel better? What
yeah,
a great feeling.
yeah,
That's the consequence of stepping into that pile of getting that writing done
yeah.
and doing it and getting out there and seeing your name in print, you go, okay, good job.
Well, you really are an encourager too, to not only to writers but to artists. Like you've got this Moo Moo, what is it? The Moo Moo lessons
Oh, the series.
series.
Yes, the
Yeah,
Moo
a
Moo. Yeah.
series. But and for the next book, you're looking for a young artist to do some of the illustration. I thought that was
Yep.
fantastic.
So I choose handicapped children who
Mhm.
have some kind of disability. I do have the next story line already. This little girl happened to draw a spider on it, and so I
Mhm.
wasn't planning on putting a spider, but she was so sweet about her picture and everything. I
Mhm.
drove down to Memphis, picked her out of the pictures I got, and gave her $100 in front of her parents, which she thought was great. So I paid them for their work,
Oh, perfect.
and now I'm working on that next story with a spider that I didn't plan on putting in there, but now need to. So I thought, well, okay, I'll do that. Most of the covers of my store are either done by my son, who's just got a great way of reading my mind.
Uh,
Or I do look out for local artists or handicapped children because I do think it's kind of nice to be able to boost somebody who would never get the boost.
mhm.
Um, you bring that up, and I will just add this in. My mother died of cancer a few years ago, and I know this is an off story, but it does have an ending to it. But the Melissa Moo was the very first book I ever wrote.
Hmm.
And I was working with an agency, a publication thing, and we had chosen six pictures that I was going to use. We actually pulled the sixth picture. My mother had drawn something after she had had a series of strokes. Didn't look all that great, but I knew she was trying to be
Yeah,
supportive.
yeah.
And I sent it to the publishing company. I said, "Can you digitize this picture and put that in?" And I thought they were going to grow hair, gray hair right there. And they said, "Oh, Mrs. Lomax." And I went, "Please."
Oh,
And so they did. And so the last picture in the book, I credited it to my mother. And
uh,
at 82 years old, I presented it to her. I said, "Your picture went into the storybook." And she was, "What?"
mhm.
And she was so thrilled. And I was so glad to have been able to do something to her before the rest took over. And
Yeah,
then, I didn't have anything else to share with her. But I thought right then that planted the seed of trying to do something kind.
yeah.
Um,
Yeah,
yeah.
as a writer, you might appreciate this too. I wrote the eulogy for my mom before she passed. She passed 6 weeks ago,
Oh,
and
I'm
I
sorry.
was thank you. I was able to share it with her before she went. I did the same thing for my dad years earlier. I think it's important to let them know what we're going to say about him when they're gone, And so they really appreciate that. I know your mother really appreciated that.
Oh, she was I could tell,
Sure.
sometimes I can't really tell everything, but you could tell. And so my dad, what are you gonna do for me?
Uh-oh, now
It's
the
not your
pressure's
time
on.
yet, Dad. Oh, so I have started another a storyline. It's all about perspective, and it is about my father. Growing up in the South, where I grew up in Mississippi, and uh, and so I took the stories of my childhood stories, which I know no one would believe, which is why I'm going to use them, um, and put them in the story. You can't make up a story any more than something that really did happen
Yeah.
in real life.
Right,
The
right,
real life
right.
stories are the funnier ones.
Yeah.
And oh yeah, that'll be coming out
Well,
in
there's so
next
much,
year's.
you have so much to offer people. I would encourage people to go to juju.agency, juju.agency. Um, and you can not only get the latest novel, A Pawn's Game, but check out the other writing, check out the blog, see it all. It's up there.
Thanks, Brian.
And oh yeah, I think people really get a kick of that. So name of the book again, A Pawn's Game, available on Amazon and, of course, on Julie's website. Julia, hey, thanks a million for being with us today. It was a pleasure talking with you.
Thank you so much, Paul.
You betcha. And thank you, folks, for spending a few minutes with us on the Global Book Network. I'm Paul Ryden. We'll see you next time.